whether 10 managers can deliver enough value proposition to service the whole marketplace. I would say probably yes. I don't think we need, I don't know how many asset managers we have in the world. We have hundreds, maybe thousands of them.
37,000.
37,000. Here we go. Do we need 37,000 managers to manage the pool of assets? Probably not. We need. It's not the quantity that matters. It's the quality.
It's judgment ultimately. And to answer your questions with regards to firms, it's ultimately about alignment of interest, right? If you're on the bank's payroll, your loyalty is to the bank, right? If you're on the client's payroll, your loyalty foremost is to the client, and then it is about hopefully conscientious security, portfolio construction, and so forth. To your point about large institutions and house views and CIO views, I think it's important to be mindful of the fact that these are very large institutions, and the larger they get, they also to some extent become more bureaucratic. And I can share with you that Gary Tiernan and I, we were both part of a global bank's CIO's investment committee, and I can tell you, hand on my heart, they're always behind the curve, because they are such a large bank, and they cannot make often, and this is in the public domain, by the way, you can check this, right, that our ex-employer was always behind the curve on these things, but given the size they have, they couldn't do otherwise. And this is why, don't forget, also people who are on these commissions, on these committees, are often very highly paid employees who are part of a supertanker. It's not necessarily about being able to find the best idea sometimes, right? It's a different proposition. And so sometimes, yes, I mean, why, for example, I mean, even I have a lot of respect for Union Bank of Switzerland, but many people opine that once Union Bank of Switzerland became too institutionalized, some clients have experienced a different client experience, and that's also well documented and all in the public domain. So again, just being large size doesn't necessarily mean better investment outcome nor client experience.
Well, I think on the investment manager side, I mean, I would risk offending half the room by giving my views about whether wealth managers should be big or small. But on asset managers, in certain asset classes or certain strategies, scale is your friend. You know, if you're running an S&P 500 index fund, if you've got 200 billion, you can do it a lot more cheaply and easily than if you've got $1 billion. But if you're running an active strategy where you're actually trying to take advantage of liquidity and dislocation, scale is your enemy. And so now maybe if you're trading, interest rates, global interest rates, or currencies, G3 currencies, whatever, yeah, you can trade vast volumes without moving the market much. But by definition, when you're running a $150 billion fund or whatever size PIMCO fund is, yeah, they do a great job, but there's only certain trades that they can put on. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they can't do. And as you get into, small cap equities, there's a thing, someone mentioned, get into small cap equities, would you buy a small cap equity fund that had $30 billion in it? Or an emerging market equity fund that had $50 billion in it? Unless it was passive, I probably suggest you wouldn't. So scale is actually your enemy. And the more thematic and niche you get, the more important it is to have. If you're too small, you don't have enough resources to do it. But if you're too big, you by definition can't perform.
And here is one of the things that if those of us who are old enough, turn your minds back to the hedge fund industry in 2000, 2002 and 3, when it was really aggressively expanding from what had been admittedly around for 2.5 decades, say before that, but relatively small, relatively niche. All of a sudden, oh wow, we all have to have hedge funds. And I remember that so many times talking to hedge fund managers who were raising money, and they'd say, yeah, look, we're happy to raise 100 to 150 million, we're great. And then I'd talk to the same manager a year to 18 months later, and they had 500 million. What are you doing? Well, we just had such a lot of interest. Yeah, but your strategy is not going to work the same. And the proof of the pudding is look at hedge fund performance on an aggregate basis from those days to now. And I think you made the point earlier, you see a lot of disappointment in the alternative space of hedge funds. Theoretically, there should be a great diversifier, there should be a great idea in many people's portfolios. Frankly, we use them in ours, just to disclose. But I do think that a lot of the managers get too big for their own good, and they cease to give you alpha. They start to become a kind of beta generator.
And so, yes, it can be helpful as a diversifier.